So, you're probably wondering how we got here in the first place, and, that's a good question. I don't know myself, but, hopefully we'll be able to figure it out today. Now look guys, I know the details of what happened today, but I feel like giving you that cold open is very important to set the scene of the absurdity that you are about to witness for the next 20 to 30 minutes right now. Because if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you would know that my mother is not exactly a very rational person. I feel like deep down she probably does have some care for me, but it's so buried under just a thick layer of unregulated emotions and probably bipolar at this point that she really can't express that without causing harm to other people. And it doesn't forgive any of the shit she's done, especially trying to kill me multiple times, but, you know, at the end of the day, she is a person who's in need of help, and whether that be with jail or therapy, I really hope that she can get the help she needs one day. But we're not here to get all sappy over what my mother may or may not have done in the past. We are here to talk about the time that my mother and I fought, and I got sent to quote-unquote jail. And listen, I'm gonna be straight away, that title's a little bit clickbait, okay? It's not necessarily jail, so to speak. It's something very similar to it, though, so I will elaborate on it further in the video. But for now, I want to set the scene of what's going on, okay? So, this all goes down a few years ago, back when I was 16 years old, and if you couldn't tell by that cold open, I have a very, very bad addiction. I had a very, very bad addiction to a game on Roblox called Bed Wars. And I know what you think of in the background. Oh, Bed Wars, that's not that bad, right? No. This is not like your average Hypixel Bed Wars game. This is like the pay-to-win, omega techie sweat version of Bed Wars that I don't even think Minecraft players could even comprehend coming as close to, because we've got like a bajillion different kits and all these different items and weapon loadouts that just make it impossible for you to practically learn everything in the game unless you dedicate your entire life to it. And you know, I tried to do that for a little while. Things did not go well. We will elaborate further here in a bit, but all you need to know is that I was really into fucking Bed Wars at the time. Now, at this time, on this day, the fateful evening of I really don't know when, I decided that I wanted to get on Bed Wars, and as per usual, I threw a fit. Listen, me between the ages of like 12 to 16 was probably like one of the most edgy demon people that you will ever meet in your life. It's honestly kind of embarrassing to even look back on this clip and just how hard I was crashing out over Bed Wars, but it really is something that needs to be stated, because when I was into Bed Wars, you couldn't get me out. I would scream, I would yell, I would throw shit, I would put holes in the wall. Very, very demonic bullshit, alright? And you know, my mother, being my mother, was like, "You're getting too loud, try lad, you gotta turn it off." And I'm saying like, well, you know, I don't want to turn it off. So eventually, what happens is she gets really tired, and she comes in and yells at me, and she tells me that she is going to unplug the internet, right? And so when my mother does unplug the internet, you hear that clip at the beginning. You know, she was doing dishes, right, out there in the living room. And I went out there to argue with her about unplugging the internet, because she was going to have my sister do it. My sister really didn't want to get involved. I mean, good on her for not getting involved with this bullshit, but she didn't want to get involved. So I went out into the living room and I started protesting the unplugging of the internet, which, looking back in retrospect, was really fucking stupid to do. I should have just got off and went outside regardless anyways, but I guess it's in the past now, right? There's not really too much I can do to change what has happened, but you know, things take a turn because we start screaming and yelling at each other. She tells my sister to go unplug the internet, which she reluctantly agrees to because, I mean, she doesn't want to get caught on the receiving end of this bullshit garbage, right? And so, what happens after that is my mother and I get into a screaming match. We start screaming and yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling at each other until the entire universe could probably hear our fight. I am so serious, we were so loud, screaming so hard, that you could hear that from my bedroom, because, again, that clip was recorded from my bedroom through, like, 2 separate doors, right, and a headset mic, and it picked up that conversation. That is how loud we were screaming. I wouldn't be surprised if our conversation was literally the thing that led aliens to find our solar system, and by extension, our planet in the first place. That'd be a really funny story to talk about. Hey guys, so I ended the world because I was being way too loud and I accidentally led aliens to my house? Wouldn't that be funny, right? But anyways, when she was doing the dishes, she started waving a knife around in midair while her and I were at our screaming match, and I say, put down the knife, right? She doesn't want to put down the knife because she was, like, doing dishes. And eventually, you know, my mother and I were doing a bunch of garbage, we were fighting with each other, and what happened is she eventually drops the knife mid-fight, And that's where the clip cuts out, is right after the knife drop. But now, we're gonna go on to the actual original parts of the story, right? So what happened after that clip cut off is that her and I continued to fight, and fight, and fight, and fight, and fight, and scream, and scream, and scream, and it was no bueno. Malo, amigo, let me tell you, that is no fun to deal with, okay? And so what happened, oh my god, it's hard to talk about this. My mother eventually got tired of arguing with me, and she wound her arm back, getting ready to hit me. And I felt like the whole world was going in slow motion, because what happened is when she swung at me, I grabbed her arm mid-air, quite literally intercepted her punch, and that might not sound too impressive, but my mother was a retired combat veteran. She fought over in Kuwait during the big war on terror with some funny people that I can't mention on YouTube because I'm monetized now, by the way. You should subscribe to my YouTube channel to make things much better for me. But now that I'm monetized, I have to actually be careful of how much I swear so YouTube doesn't hate me. Try to keep profanity to mild, okay? I can't swear too much. Every F-bomb has to be censored. But yeah, she comes over and she swings at me, and I grab her punch midair. And then I kid you not, after that, she says, "Get your hands off me." Like, genuinely, you swung at me first, you wound up to hit me, and I don't have the right to just stop you from hitting me. I just have to sit there and take it. It's like in the final battle versus Sans Undertale. If Sans just lets you hit him on the first strike, the game is over, or you just win. It's too easy. You can't do that. So, what happens after this is that my mother says she's gonna call the cops. And now, listen, if I were in that situation now, I probably would have just let her call the cops, because then she would have actually got called out for all of her garbage, you know. She would have been called out for everything that she was, you know, doing to me and everybody else, because this takes place after the first story where my mother tried to kill me. Again, there will probably be a link at the top right here. I've got the timestamp down right now, 7:20, so I don't forget. But, you know, she says, call the cops or you're going to the mental asylum. Now, let me set the stage for you, alright? I had been to that hospital quite a few times before, and it is basically just jail. I've been on almost all the units there, and I know for a fact that you will just see, like, there is a hallway with doors that have a bed, a toilet, and a shower with no privacy. At least they have the decency to segregate the rooms, I guess. And you have limited guard time, you're required to do structured programming, and you can get credit for good behavior to leave quicker. What does that sound like? I'll tell you what it sounds like. It sounds like jail, okay? And so I had two options. I could either take my chances with the police and maybe get sent to actual big boy jail, or I could just go to this mental asylum again, which is basically jail, but at least that way I won't have any charges on my record. And I chose option 2. Again, need to reiterate this right here. I should not have done that. I should have let the cops come over and take care of my mother, right? But for whatever reason, I just decided, you know what, we're not going to do that. And guess where that got me? Well, it landed me to the main point of the story today. Yeah, by the way, the whole garbage with mom, that was just the appetizer for what this story is really going to be about. And so, you know, we drive on down there, I get myself like a drink or something, you know, my last bit of free world food before I'm subjected to a mental asylum for God knows how long. So they take me over there, they triage me, I try to tell them, you know, that my mother literally hit me first, they didn't care, they believed my mother because, well, I'm the child and she was the adult. So, you know, they believe what my mother said, of course, and so I got put into a mental asylum. Now, if you think this is going to be a short stay, oh, no. This lasted way longer than I think I've ever been in, like, any place outside of home for any reason whatsoever. Quite literally, the first 2 weeks were nothing, right? I eventually figured out that they had, like, a Wii U that they had in, like, the little ER room over there, and I decided to request the Wii U, and I would keep it in my room overnight. And I am so serious, I just played through and, like, almost 100% The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. That is the last time I have played through Twilight Princess as in an ER hospital. So if you ever find, you know, my real name on, like, a weird Wii U that belonged to a hospital once upon a time, you know what it is, chat. You know that was me playing Twilight Princess, and I'm gonna be honest, a bit of a side tangent here. I really love that game. It made it very easy for me to, like, get a lot of things done and help me, you know, make it through the monotony of the day a bit better because we couldn't go outside, we couldn't leave our rooms, so really all I had to do was, you know, play the Wii U. And so, because of that, you know, I had a bunch of time on my hands. I beat Twilight Princess, well, almost. I didn't fight Ganon because I ran out of time. Not because I couldn't have. I could have fought him and still had, like, days left to spare. But I wanted to try to 100% the game because I had never done that before, and I got really close. For me, the last thing that I really needed before I went to Ganon's castle is I needed to find, like, those 2 little golden bugs thingies that you give to the lady, and she gives you, like, the max size wallet. And I don't know why it was, like, so hard for me to do that, but it really was. And you know, I suppose, I guess, I mean, if you don't have a guide next to you, I mean, it's like I could, again, I'm in a mental hospital, but, yeah, that was, that was how that went, and eventually, after around 2 weeks, they decided to move me to the long-term care unit, because guess what? It had been 2 weeks, and there still has not been a bed opened up in the actual mental asylum. So I get transported upstairs to a room, and oh my god, after 2 weeks, I was finally able to take a shower. Because keep in mind, there were no showers in the triage room. So I smelled like a gross pig the entire time that I was in there. And let me tell you, it felt so good to finally be able to take a shower after so long. It's finally like I'm getting moved to Gen Pop, guys. I gotta take a shower now. Now where's my yard time? No yard time for me. I had to sit in a bed the entire time. You know, there were attending nurses who would come up every day, and they were really nice. A lot of them, we talked about, like, what happened between me and my mother, and a lot of them did believe me, which is I'm very thankful for, because I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks defending yourself in a fistfight is crazy. But, you know, I sat up there in this triage room for, like, God knows how long. Another 2 weeks passes up there, so we're a month into the hospital visit, and a couple days before this, they had actually contacted my mother to, like, try and bring me home because I had been in there for too long, and I was really just supposed to be on a psychiatric hold to make sure I didn't do anything when I got out, okay? So they, like, asked my mother, and I asked my mother, can I please just come home? And she said, yeah, I'll believe you. I'll let you come home if you tell every single one of those people that you were a liar and that you swung on me first or something like that. I don't remember. It was something along those lines. She said, you know, something very manipulative, just basically say, if you want to get out, you have to tell them that I didn't do that to you. Which, you know, I just decided to cut my losses and say no. I missed my sister's birthday, by the way. I was planning on coming over, but I had been in the hospital for so long that I ended up missing my sister's birthday. And my mother was like, yep, you want to leave? Guess what you gotta do? You gotta tell them that you're full of shit. That is something. Let me tell you, that is quite interesting if I have to say so myself. But anyways, after a couple of days pass, we finally, and I mean finally, a bed opens up in the actual hospital. I don't know why the hospital was so busy. Like, it wasn't rainy season. It wasn't like the holidays. Everybody had recovered. It was like March at this point. I went in February. And it was just so full that it took them a solid almost month to get me a hospital bed so I could stay there for a week. And I literally walked up to one of the nurses in there and I'm like, again, can I please just leave? I have been here for a month. And they said, no, unfortunately, we have to follow protocol, which, I mean, yeah, I guess. You have to follow the protocol if you're in that kind of a situation, because if you're not, then you, and by extension, the hospital is liable for any ill harm that will befall on the patient, especially since, you know, as a minor in the United States, at least, you can't really, like, you can't deny treatment unless you have permission from your parents and guardians, which, you know, kind of sucks, because I would have left if I could. But, you know, we power through these things, alright? And so, finally, I get moved up to my bed. And there I met this really cool guy, right? I'm not sure if this is, actually, I think this is a different one. Yeah, it was a different one, but I ended up getting moved to one of those units. I'm not sure if I remember which one. I think it was, like, West or something. It was basically a unit where they held all the older kids, like the adolescents and young adults up there. You know, I was, I believe 17 at this time, 16, I'm not sure. But whatever the case, I was, up there in this room. And, you know, I don't really remember my roommate. He kind of left after day one, and we never got another one. I kind of actually slipped him, like, a note, because we're not supposed to, like, keep in contact with people. Like, again, it's literally just prison in the sense that you're not supposed to talk to people outside of, you know, you're not supposed to give out contact information anyways for them to keep in touch with you on the inside the real world, you know, for safety reasons. And don't get me wrong, there have been some cases where people from that hospital have went and did some crazy stuff to them in the real world, let me tell you that. It's honestly kind of fascinating to think about, even though it really shouldn't be, but I digress, you know. So, after all of this, right, I'm just going to give you a bit of a layout right here. So, remembering it off the top of my head, you have one main hallway in the room connected to each of the different rooms that lock from the outside. These are your jail cells, so to speak. And inside them, they have one really shitty cot. They have a pillow, which is a plus over jail. And you have your shower in your room, which is a plus over jail, and that's it. You don't have any doors to divide the bathrooms. You really can't hang up curtains all that much. You kind of just have to, watch your home and you take a piss, which, let me tell you, is not the funnest thing in the world, I have to imagine. It is not something very Mr. Epic Gamer swags, but I have to say so myself. And in the middle of the room, there was a TV that you could crowd around during designated watching hours, and then the rest of it was doing structured activity, or in this case, work. You would do your schoolwork there, or you would do your, what's it called? And I had been to this hospital quite a few times, so on a previous visit, I actually asked somebody who went from juvenile detention to the hospital, and they quite literally said the juvenile detention center is better than the hospital. So, yeah, if you want any more assurance that this is literally just jail, there you go. I got locked up for getting into a fight with my mother, which I've always found kind of crazy. How I get into a fight over such a trivial thing like that. Like, I was in self-defense, and I got locked into jail, basically. And, while I'm there, nothing too much happened. I mean, I went to group sessions. I'm pretty sure I drew, like, a fucking really shitty sketch of, like, post-time skip Luffy sitting on the Going Merry. If I can find the image, I'll put it up on screen right now. But, yeah, that's basically all I did there. And then I asked them to print out pictures of the Luffy, because I couldn't, like, they couldn't email me the picture, they couldn't text me the picture because of protocol. So what they did is they ended up printing out a picture of the Luffy, so I could take the Luffy home and take a picture with the Luffy. Don't ask me why I wanted to do this. I just wanted to say, so I drew Luffy from One Piece in the hospital, because this is back when I was on my big One Piece arc. I haven't really watched much past, like, the time skip. I haven't made it to Fishman Island yet, but I've heard it's, like, really shitty after Fishman Island, so, do with that what you will. But yeah, so after that, I spend a couple weeks there. I gain the right to, like, earn my clothes and, start doing things, leave the unit for, like, gym and stuff like that, get to go play basketball. Again, just normal prison activities. And then, finally, after, a week at this point? So I've been in the hospital for almost a month and a half at this point. I'm employed, by the way. Like, I'm still employed at the job that I'm working now, and I was not able to work for 6 weeks because I got locked in a hospital because of some stupid fight that I had between my mother. And eventually my mother came and picked me up. She got me dinner, which is nice. I'm not sure what her motive was with that. She got me dinner, and I went home, and that is how I went to jail, because I got into a fist fight with my mother. It is definitely one of the wilder stories on my channel. Like, I know that we got all the bleak garbage. Maybe this music is a bit too upbeat for this kind of story, but realistically, nothing really all that much happened. If I wanted to go for, like, a more somber hospital story, I would have went with the one before this, because let me tell you, the one before this is actually very dark, and I'm not sure if you guys want to, like, see a part 2 on this. I mean, if you want to see a part 2, you can let me know in the comments, and I might make a follow-up to this where I discuss all of my other hospital visits, make it like a little bit of a series, I don't know. Because I've been to that place 11 times. Yeah, I was a very troubled kid, in case you couldn't tell. I mean, I feel like my entire channel makes that obvious, but, it really is what it is. And so, if I have to give you a couple of nuggets of advice today, alright, for starters, if your parents are abusing you or mistreating you in any way, just call the cops. Don't do what I did and go to the hospital, right? Because if the cops came down there, they would have immediately been able to catch her bluff, especially because of her involvement with the police, because, a lot of CPS reports have been made at this point, Child Protective Services, for those of you who don't live in America, right? But the Child Protective Services were called, and, if I had just let the cops come over, it probably would have been a lot better for everybody had they came over, because, let's be honest here, right? The cops are like, I don't know. The cops would have been more reasonable. Now, not to say that they would have 100% been more reasonable, because, quite literally, the reason why my mother tried to swing on me is because the cop told her it's okay as long as you're not hitting them with the fist. So that means you can, like, sucker slap your child across the face, which is what she was trying to do. She was coming in to hit me in the face, and I caught the punch, which kind of scares me because I heard that's like almost a reflex response you have if you have an immense amount of trauma. So it kind of concerns me. Second off, you just don't engage with very abusive situations like this, 9 times out of 10, escalating the fight is only going to make things worse. And, of course, don't be like me. Don't be throwing a big fit over Bed Wars, because if I had just not played Bed Wars, none of this would have happened in the first place. I'm currently a year and a half sober from that, which is nice, and I do not miss it whatsoever, because it quite literally is one of the most soul-draining experiences that any other human being could experience in their life. Because, oh my goodness, that is something, my guys. But yeah, that's all for me, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a lot. Leave a comment telling me what you thought of the video, and make sure to join the Discord, link in the description. We're trying to get to 200 members by the end of, well, I don't know why I'm making up imaginary milestone. I don't give a f how many people are in my Discord server, okay? That's really about it for me, though. My name is Trilad. You guys have an awesome day, night, wherever you are when you're watching this, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.